This call is being recorded. Stop recording button. Hit button to lapse. More options.
ଯଦି
Lapse.
କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରିଥାନ୍ତ ଇଣ୍ଟିମେଟ୍ କରିନାହାନ୍ତି କି
ସାର୍
ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ଇଣ୍ଟିମେଟ୍ କରିନାହାନ୍ତି କି
ଜଣେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
Baldy, your microphone is on.
ଜଣେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍, ଆପଣ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍।
କାହିଁ କେହି ଜଏନ୍ କରିନାହାନ୍ତି ତ ଏଠି କେହି
With
ନାହାନ୍ତି
apps visible. Use Windows to focus.
ଏଠି କେହି ନାହାନ୍ତି
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
Alert. With apps invisible. Use Windows switcher to focus.
ହଁ ହଁ ଟିକେ ସେ ପିଲା ସବୁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ମେସେଜ୍ କର।
ସ୍ୱାଗତିକା ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
Yes, sir.
ସ୍ୱାଗତିକା କାଲି ଆସିଥିଲ
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ସାର୍
ସ୍ୱାଗତିକା
କାଲି ମୁଁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରିନି।
ଆଉ କେମିତି କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁଟି ରହିବ ଗୋଟେ ପେପରକୁ 4-4ଟା କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି କାଲି କ'ଣ ସବୁ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ ହେଲା କେମିତି ଜାଣିବ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଦେଇଦେଲେ କ'ଣ ଜାଣିଥିବୁ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ସେ ଦେବେ ବୋଲି ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି ରେକର୍ଡିଂରୁ ସବୁ ବୁଝି ହଉଥାନ୍ତା ଆଉ ଟିଚର ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ରିଲେସନସିପ୍ କାହିଁ ନବ ତମେ କ'ଣ କରୁଛ କ'ଣ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଜବ୍ କରୁଛ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍
ଜବ୍ କରୁଛ କି
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ଘର ପାଖରେ ଯଜ୍ଞ ହଉଛି ତ ଠିକ ସେ
ଓହୋ
ଶୁଭୁନି ସେଥିପାଇଁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରିବାକୁ ଅସୁବିଧା ହଉଛି।
ଓହୋ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଘର କବାଟ ବନ୍ଦ କରି ରଖ ଆଉ କ'ଣ କରିବା
ଘର କବାଟ ବନ୍ଦ କଲେ କ'ଣ ହବ ସାର୍ ଘର ପାଖରେ ହିଁ ହଉଛି।
ମଧୁସ୍ମିତା ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି ମଧୁସ୍ମିତା ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ମଧୁସ୍ମିତା ଅମ୍ବରୀଶ ମୋହିନୀ
Yes, hello, sir.
ଗୁଡ୍ ଆଫ୍ଟରନୁନ୍ ଶୁଭ ଅପରାହ୍ନ
Good afternoon.
ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ମେଥଡୋଲୋଜି କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବା କାଲି ତ ଅମ୍ବରୀଶ ଥିଲ କଣ ସବୁ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ ହେଇଥିଲା ଟିକେ କହିଦେଲ 4-5 ଲାଇନରେ।
Uh, we talked about tradition of ideas starting from Thales.
ଯେ ଟୁଆର୍ଡସ୍ ଦ ଲାଷ୍ଟ ପାର୍ଟ ଏ କଥା ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ ହେଲା ନା ଆଉ। ପ୍ରଥମେ ପଡିଲା ସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଆଉ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଭିତରେ ତ କଥା ନାଇଁ କି? ସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କଣ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କଣ ସେ କଥା ପଡିଲା। ତାପରେ ଫିଲୋସଫି କଣ କରୁଛି ସେ କଥା ପଡିଲା। 360 ଡିଗ୍ରୀର ଗୋଟେ ଭିଜନ ଦଉଛି ଏବଂ ସେଇ ଭିଜନର ଇମ୍ପାକ୍ଟଟା କେମିତି ଟୋଟାଲ ପର୍ସନ ଉପରେ ପଡୁଛି ସେ କଥା କହିନଥିଲି ନା।
Yes.
ତାପରେ
Hmm.
ତାପରେ ଫିଲୋସଫି କେମିତି ଇଣ୍ଟରଡିସିପ୍ଲିନାରୀ ଇନହେରେଣ୍ଟଲି ସେ କଥା କହିଥିଲି। ଫିଲୋସଫି କେମିତି ଆପ୍ଲାଏଡ ସେଟା ବି ଇନହେରେଣ୍ଟଲି ସେ କଥା କହିଥିଲି ନା।
Yes.
ତାପରେ ଫୋର୍ ଟ୍ରାଡିସନ କଥା କହିଥିଲି।
Sir, just a minute, sir. Honest, sir.
Your hand right now.
Sir, they kindly speak in English because a master degree course, you are recording the class and you are sending to the headquarters. So our medium of English is English.
I am using both the languages. If I talk in pure English, then they will not be able to follow.
Maximum
I
use English.
have received the feedback. Please bear with me.
No, see, listen, sir. Don't take it otherwise. Because our other reason also, because throughout India, you are
I
sending.
know. I have been teaching for the last so many years.
Yes, sir. Yes.
ଏଟା ଯେମିତି ହବା କଥା ସେମିତି ହବ। ମୁଁ କାହାରି ବରାଦ ଅନୁସାରେ ମୁଁ କରେନି। ମୁଁ କେବଳ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟଙ୍କ ବରାଦ ହିସାବରେ କରେ, ବୁଝିଲେ?
I said, because you are sending this video to all over India. So there are people who not understood Odia. That's why I'm requesting you.
So they will scan the English version and they will communicate it. But the students here, they will be very happy with the bilinguals. You know it very well. I know it very well. So we discussed about 4 traditions of philosophy. As you said, Dambaris, as you remembered, the tradition of ideas, the tradition of judgments, the tradition of propositions and meaning, and lastly, the tradition of sentences and their structure. Is not it?
Yes.
Then we discussed about methods. What are the methods that philosophers down the ages have been following? The mathematical method, the historical method, the experimental method, then the critical method. As I said yesterday, critical method is different from critical theory. You raised the question of critical theory, that is different. Then finally, we said that 20th century tradition uses analytical method. Analytical method, as I said, is anti-metaphysical. An analytical method tries to illumine the logical geography of concepts and logical geography of propositions. Is not it?
Yes.
Then you see, our requirement of a successful research thesis is that in our universities, the regulations say that there must be knowledge of new facts. The research thesis must contain knowledge of new facts or new knowledge of facts already known. Knowledge of new facts or new knowledge of facts already known. And this covers not only thesis in philosophy, but thesis in all branches of learning. That means be it humanities, be it science, or be it management courses, anywhere. A thesis must contain this. Unless this gives knowledge of new facts or alternatively new knowledge of facts already known, then credit of research cannot be given to the candidate. So we are asked to write a research paper, not a research thesis. Whatever it might be, it is a thesis in miniature. As the thesis contains chapters, this paper which you will produce will contain sections. How to divide the sections, how to proceed, we shall discuss afterwards. But now, let it be clear whether in philosophy we are able to discover new facts, give knowledge of new facts, or we are only able to give new knowledge about facts already known. What do you think this must be? What must be the case with philosophy in the light of our discussions yesterday? Amarish?
You said in every thesis should either have knowledge of new facts or alternatively new knowledge of facts. So
Facts already known. So what is expected in philosophy? What can the philosopher do? Philosopher doing research in philosophy do, whether he or she is able to give knowledge of new facts or give only knowledge of facts, new knowledge of facts already known.
some new meaning with already what is known.
Very correct, very correct. You're really meritorious in catching the thing properly, because as I said, and yesterday and today, philosophy deals with concepts. It is most abstract and most general study, as distinguished from the sciences which hold a particular chunk of the world for investigation, particular portion of the world for investigation. Physics concerned with matter, and chemistry, chemical property of the matter. Biology concerned with trees, and what should I say? Organisms other than human beings and other than animals also. Zoology is concerned with animals other than human beings. So botany, zoology, geology, concerned with minds, etc. Then all these things take up a portion of facts in the world for their investigation.
Sir, just a minute. Students, tomorrow, 4 o'clock, you have a class. So kindly request all of you, kindly join class on 4 o'clock on time. Thank you, sir.
Right. So, in philosophy, we do not deal with facts directly. Philosophy is a second order activity. The first order activities are directly concerned with the facts of the world. In sciences, we collect particular instances of facts, then we arrange them in a particular way, then we try to build up a hypothesis, then we verify that hypothesis, then a generalization is established. So there are different stages of this generalization called inductive generalizations. In science, therefore, we have generalizations based on facts experienced. But in philosophy, things are different. We are not concerned with facts, we do not collect facts, we do not collate facts. Collect and collate. Collate means arranging them in a particular way. So collection and collation of facts are not there in philosophy. So There is no hypothesis, there is no generalization in philosophy, and therefore there is no verification either. In science, we verify a particular generalization for its validity. If verified adequately, then that becomes a true generalization, otherwise a false generalization. So that is the procedure of science. There was a time when the area of operation of science and philosophy was not this much clear. They used to think that philosophy also has hypotheses. It also has generalizations like the generalizations in science. But nowadays, nobody holds that view. Jayanta Bhatta of India says one thing. Please listen to this very carefully. Kuto ba nutanam vastu vayang उत्प्रेक्षितुम क्षमः वाचो विन्यास वैचित्र्य मात्रम अत्र विचार्यत. That means, how are we able to discover new things? Kutoba nutanang vastu vayang utprekitum kama. How are you able to discover new things? What do we do then? Vacho vinyasa vaichitra matram. So we arrange propositions or statements in a way that it will give a new perspective. Atra vicharyatam. Here we consider this. That is Jayanta Bhatta. We have in the West a similar statement made by Peter Frederick Strawson. Strawson, let me inform you, did write a classical book called Individuals. Subtitle is An Essay in Descriptive Metaphysics. I told you something about descriptive metaphysics yesterday while I was discussing about Kant. There I made a distinction between speculative metaphysics and descriptive metaphysics. So here Strawson has a book which he calls An Essay in Descriptive Metaphysics. And you know that P.F. Strawson belongs to the fourth tradition that we just discussed. The fourth tradition is the tradition of sentences and their structure. In the third tradition, it was the tradition of propositions and their meaning, and their analysis of concepts and analysis of propositions was the preoccupation of philosophers. Philosopher काम से आया ସେଥିରୁ ଦେଖାଗଲା it was discovered that philosophy becomes restricted. It has become a restricted enterprise concerned with particular concepts, say a concept like matter, concept like knowledge. So clarification is done and things are over. So what it gives illumination is illumination about a very small area. It is an illumination, no doubt, it's a contribution to new knowledge, but it is confined to a small area. Gilbert Ryle is a philosopher in this tradition. Perhaps I told you about him yesterday. Gilbert Ryle has a book entitled The Concept of Mind. People will confuse, and people confused during that time, say 40 years back, whether it is a book on psychology or book on philosophy. in Utkal University Parija Library, the concept mind was shelved in the psychology rack. But it is a book on philosophy. It seeks to analyze the concept mind and its cognate concepts. Cognate concepts are knowledge, belief, dreaming, thinking, feeling, willing. These are the cognate concepts of mind. They form a family of concepts. So the concept of mind was a book on that. My point is that in the analytical tradition, in the third tradition, focus was on particular concepts or an area of concepts, but not giving any picture about the whole. Picture about the whole, as I said, is 360-degree picture, which is the very tradition and core of philosophical thinking was lacking in this tradition. Therefore, keeping on the spirit of analysis, a tradition evolved with Wittgenstein as the master again to give a holistic perspective based on analysis of concepts and analysis of propositions. So that is how P.F. Strawson belonged to the tradition of sentences and their structure, and it just ennobled, made the tradition a noble tradition, a famous tradition. Here I wanted to say that P.F. Strawson says something like Jayanta Bhatta. What does he say? To quote Strawson, if there are no new things to be discovered, there are old things to be rediscovered. I repeat, if there are no new things to be discovered, there are old things to be rediscovered. So there is no discovery in philosophy, there is only rediscovery in philosophy. There is reassessment, re-evaluation, rethinking, review, which gives us new knowledge about facts already known. So in this spirit, many books were written on re-evaluating and reassessing the contribution of philosophers right from the beginning. The beginning was in Western philosophy from Thales, and there was a re-evaluation. There is a big volume entitled A Critical History of Western Philosophy. It is edited by D.J. O'Connor. There are different chapters devoted to different individual philosophers. And different periods of philosophy, like pre-Socratic philosophy, there is one chapter. Then on Socrates, one chapter. Then Plato, one chapter. Aristotle, one chapter. Then Aquinas, Augustine, coming to modern philosophy, Descartes, Bacon, then Descartes, Spinoza, Leibniz, like this and like that. So there are different chapters which reassess and re-evaluate the contributions of philosophy, these philosophers, individual philosophers. Why were they evaluated? Because in the analytical tradition, which was anti-metaphysical, as I said, these philosophical contributions, most of them were put to heavy criticism. And according to logical positivists, most of the traditions were declared as nonsensical. I told you yesterday that there are different theories of meaning, and I mentioned the verifiability theory of meaning articulated by the logical positivists. The theory of meaning is that if a given proposition does not have any possibility to be verified, then that is a nonsensical one. The meaning of a proposition, they say, the meaning of a proposition is the method of its verification. They were concerned with the meaning, but they went on this way, finding out the very meaning of a proposition by virtue of verification. So, if verification means here possible verification, not actual verification. Actual verification is done by science, not by philosophy. Philosophy only sees the possibilities of verification. So the meaning of a proposition is the method of its verification. On the basis of this, many of the theses of philosophers were put on fire. And the analytical tradition post, that means after logical positivism, tried to reassess the contributions of all these philosophers. So once these philosophical traditions, the philosophical contributions ruled the roost, and they influenced the whole area of culture of a particular country. And there are some traditions which influenced the whole of the world. Greek philosophy, for example, Indian philosophy, for example, the Vedic and Upanishadic traditions, they are global in their impact, in their engagement. So there is reassessment and re-evaluation of philosophy. Findlay wrote one book on Hegel, the most difficult philosopher. Hegel, a re-evaluation. Then there are also series of books coming out of Prentice Hall, Oxford, Cambridge, so putting new interpretations on the old contributions of philosophers. So according to Strawson, going back to Strawson again, if there are no new things to be discovered, there are old things to be rediscovered. How to rediscover the old things? How to rediscover the old things? Strawson contends that the old things must be presented in the contemporary idiom. The philosophers, the classical philosophers, always pay us the benefit of our labor in being reinterpreted in our own idioms. In course of time, idioms went on changing, go on changing. Idioms go on changing because of the impact of, mostly impact of science. Science is developing in strides, and it throws up new ideas, new concepts, and new idioms. So unless we put old things in the new idiom, then the new generation would not be able to understand what the old generation said. Therefore, the reassessment, reinterpretation must be done by presenting the old things in the new idiom. So that is one type of research. Following this lead, many research papers, many research books are produced by putting the old philosophers and their contributions in the new idiom. Gilbert Ryle gave a re-evaluation of Plato, for example. Then Strawson himself put a new interpretation of Immanuel Kant. All these reinterpreted works are very much important, and they are, so to say, classics in philosophy. Well, E.M. Forster, a poet and novelist, he says, only connect. Only connect. So this gives us a key to our search and research. So what do? We connect ideas with ideas. Ideas of one tradition with other ideas of that tradition, or ideas of one tradition with ideas of another tradition, ideas of one culture with ideas of another culture. So in this way, we can do a lot of research work. Are you following?
Yes.
Mm. So our work is a research work. Today, I wanted to appraise you how old things are to be discovered anew. Let us now proceed how things can be done according to our indication. Achha. Research, is searching for answers again and again in a systematic and scientific way. I say scientific way to mean in a systematic way. Science stands for order. Science stands for organization. In that sense only. Science deals with facts, not in that sense at all. So research is searching for answers again and again in a systematic and scientific way. The researcher is able to see things which others are not able to see. The same thing would be read by two people, but one will find suddenly a new thing there which the other people, other man, other person would not be able to find. So the researcher has a searching eye, a third eye, so to say. By dint of acute perception and accurate observation, he or she is able to see something which is not seen by anybody and everybody. So research is searching for answers again and again in a systematic and scientific way. A form of systematic inquiry contributes to knowledge. Research is a critical and exhaustive investigation. It is a critical investigation and exhaustive investigation. Exhaustive investigation. How is it critical and how is it exhaustive? It is exhaustive in the sense that all the things that have been said in a particular area by other researchers, other scholars must be taken into account. Suppose I am doing a research on cogito ergo sum of René Descartes. Cogito ergo sum is I think, therefore I am. What is that I think, therefore I am? What does it convey? So, in order to know it deeply, I have to read all the things available about Descartes in general and cogito ergo sum in particular. That would be my first attempt. Now, previously, in my days, while we were doing research in our days, we had this idea of totality. Everything about Descartes, if I am doing research on Descartes, everything on Descartes should be read thoroughly. But as time passes on, literature on different subjects, on different philosophers are mounting up in such a gigantic proportion that a person would not be able to finish everything in his or her lifetime. Therefore, the American pattern is like this. British pattern was a holistic study. Everything must be known in the that is available in the field. But the American pattern is that you must be able to collect, consult, and go through the material which have been available during the last 10 years or 5 years. If it is 5 years, then it's all right. If it is 10 years, then better, but not beyond that. So those things which are living in contemporary discussion are only to be taken into account, not the other things which have become obsolete. So things which are live are taken to be live during a period of 5 to 10 years only. So literature, papers and books on Descartes available in libraries and free downloadable websites must be in the circuit of 5 to 10 years. So if you adjust that, then that would be counted as your credit to have gone through all the relevant literature. Then what is that critical inquiry? It is not just taking in the surface value, but you have to relate it, connect it to other ideas to find it, the inner meaning involved in that particular concept on which you are doing research. For example, we have taken only cogito ergo sum of Descartes. We could have taken the concept of substance. We could have taken the mind-body relation which Descartes began in modern philosophy. So it is critical and exhaustive investigation on the subject. By this, we will not have discovery of new facts in philosophy, but new interpretation of facts. New interpretation will lead to a revision of certain concepts, revision of the logic of certain concepts, revision of certain doctrines in philosophy. Anusandhan, it is in Sanskrit, Anusandhan, Anveshan, Paryavekshan, Eshana, Gobeshana are the terms which we find in classical literature for research. Anusandhan, Anveshan, Paryavekshan, Eshana, Gobeshana, we say. Go means go, the root signifies Jnana, Eshana, investigation, that is Gobeshana. These are the terms which we find in Indian culture. Then what are the principles of research? Number one, the principles of research are systematic and organized. Therefore, I use the term scientific organization of matter. We told that it must be done in a systematic and scientific way. The systematic and scientific way means it must be well organized and well connected. Then what is the second principle? Research must be purposeful. We must have a purpose in doing the research. What would be the purpose of research in philosophy on a particular topic? For example, we were teaching the other paper, peace and conflict resolution. So peace and conflict resolution is a contemporary topic. Everybody is discussing that. The sociologists, the other social scientists, the politicians, they are discussing about peace, and then the theologians, they are discussing about peace and conflict resolution. In philosophy, we try to find out what are the philosophical concepts involved in those discourses, and would like to see whether we can do something to clarify the concepts involved and contribute to the resolution of the conflicts. So that must be with a purpose. Therefore, we say that principles of research includes systematic and organized investigation, and it also involves purposeful investigation. Then, as I said, it must be critical and it must be analytical. Critical means, I explained to you yesterday, we will not take any sides. There are different parties to the to a particular controversy, to a particular viewpoint. There may be different parties, but we will not take sides with any. There is a proverb in English that while in Rome, do as Romans do. This is very much true in philosophy. So when you are doing Descartes, do think in the shoes of Descartes. Be in the shoes of Descartes. Be in the position of Descartes to appraise that. After appraisal of Descartes' viewpoint, if you find anything wrong with it, then point it out. That is our contribution. So another important thing in this connection, how do we criticize a philosophical viewpoint? I have already clarified that how we do not do it. We do not refer to facts to verify a particular doctrine and certify that it is valid or invalid. We do not do that. No fact can confirm a philosophical thesis. No fact can refute a philosophical thesis. You will remember a story told about Shankaracharya. Sri Shankaracharya asserts that Brahma is Satya and Jagat is Mithya. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. So at the common sense level, if the thesis comes to the common sense level, Brahma Satya and Jagat Mithya, who can say this? Who can say Jagat is Mithya? The person who has realized Brahman can only say that Jagat is Mithya. You or I cannot say that Jagat is Mithya, because we are very much steeped in the Jagat. We cannot declare the Jagat in which we are living, moving, and having our being, that it is all false. I am sitting on a sofa. In front of me, there is a table. In the roof, a fan is running. There are some lights in this room. So this is the position around me here. Can I say that all these are illusions? Being in the set of things, I cannot declare that set of things as illusory. So the story runs like this. At the common sense level, they thought that Shankaracharya is doing some pretension. His theory that Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya is a story of pretension. In order to test what how Shankaracharya would react, they set a ferocious bull after him one day. Might be imaginary, there's a story about that, to see the status of Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. So out of here, Shankaracharya ran for life, and Shankaracharya went on a tree, climbed a tree, in order to save himself from the ferocious bull. Then the people who set the ferocious bull after Shankaracharya, they just laughed and clapped and say, "You see, Sannyasi, why did you run? Why did you climb over the tree? It was all Maya. If you say it's Maya, the bull was Maya. Why did you then run after your life?" Shankaracharya quipped, "This is all Maya. My running, my climbing over a tree are all Maya." The point is that the philosophical thesis that the whole world is illusion is all devouring. It does not leave a single fact out of its scope, so that you can catch hold of that and say that this is an exception to the thesis. No exception. So anything that happens, anything that there is declared Maya by Shankaracharya. So no fact, no collection of facts, not a single fact, not a collection of facts, can refute the thesis that Brahma Satya Jagat is Mithya. There is another example from Western philosophy. I told you about the philosopher Bradley yesterday. According to Bradley, like Shankaracharya, he says that the whole world is an appearance. Only absolute alone is true. So matter, motion, causality, space, time, all these are just appearances. By application of these concepts, you give only appearance, not knowledge, not reality. So that is Bradley. George Edward Moore, who I said is one of the harbingers of analytic philosophy in the 20th century, in a lecture, Proof of a National World, he said, by raising his right hand, that this is my right hand, raising his left hand, that this is my left hand. So at least there are two hands, at least there are two material things. So that material things are unreal is falsified. Can you falsify a philosophical thesis By raising your hands like this? No. Because as I said, the thesis is not about facts, so that you can find an exception to the facts, to the thesis, and say that it is a false one, because they have not taken these instances into account. Bradley is very much like more a person living, moving, and having his being in the world. Bradley knows this, and in spite of that, he's advancing that thesis. So the thesis advanced is from a different plane altogether, not from the plane of empirical facts. You must have been acquainted with the philosophy of George Berkeley. Berkeley said, esse est percipi. Ambrish, do you remember?
George Clay.
George Edward I mean George Berkeley.
He's like
I told you yesterday.
John Locke, Berkeley, and Hume.
Locke,
You
Berkeley,
said
and Hume. Locke,
three.
Berkeley, and Hume, the empiricist trio.
Yeah.
The empiricist philosopher. For him, to exist is to be perceived. Esse est percipi. To exist, if I say the table exists only in perception. If it is possible for me to perceive the qualities of the table, then only can I say that the table is there. Otherwise, table as an object does not constitute my knowledge. Only the ideas of the table constitute my knowledge. You see, to refute George Berkeley, one friend from literature, he just kicked a stone and bled and said, I thus refute Berkeley. But can Berkeley be refuted by kicking a stone like this? He bled, he got pain, and that pain is again an idea in the mind of his friend. So philosophers like Berkeley, like Bradley, like Shankaracharya cannot be refuted by showing a fact and saying that that goes contrary to the philosophical thesis. Just so you are saying that the principles of research are, it must be systematic, it must be organized, it must be purposeful, it must be critical, and it must be analytical. Then it must be able to communicate findings effectively. Four things: systematic and organized, purposeful, critical and analytical, able to communicate findings effectively. What for research? Why? Some research are just for curiosity. That is mostly done in areas other than philosophy. For example, in physiology, natural history, and then in medical science. This is done for curiosity sometimes. But otherwise, as Bacon said, knowledge is power. If you get something, get new knowledge, then that knowledge holds the power to change the world. So any new knowledge is an instrument in the hand of man to effect modifications in the setting of things. But sometimes it is done for just for curiosity. There may not be any academic use, or there may not be any publication. There are persons who have done their thesis to get a degree, and they are satisfied with that without publishing it or without getting benefit out of it. Very few things, and very few persons are there doing this type of thing. Similarly, there are persons we know that they have done MA in different subjects, double MA, triple MA. They do for the sake of satisfaction of curiosity. What are the types of research? One type of research is basic or pure. Basic research or pure research. This is conducted to increase the basic knowledge and understanding of the world. That is done in science. Pure scientific research. It provides the building blocks upon which other types of research are based. In philosophy, also, for example, for the study of Samanya, study of Vishesha, study of Aparokyanubhuti, Shankaracharya, the concept of Aparokyanubhuti. Then, what is that? Aprathaka Siddhi, Ramanuja. So, these are the concepts which constitute our pure research or basic research. Then there are applied research. Applied research. That is more in science. Applied research, as I told you yesterday, applied physics, applied chemistry, social science also, applied history, applied geography. These are the areas which are directly concerned with his engagement with the world. What do we in philosophy? I told you yesterday and reminding you today that philosophy gives us the power of clarification so that we take our own decision in matters of conflict, in matters of dilemma, to do or not to do this or not to do this, to go this way or that way, to contribute money to the poor or to amass it for the future of our children. So like this and like that. So applied ethics is the area which we claim the engagement area of pure philosophy. But there it is not as direct as we have in the sciences, but it is only indirectly by igniting your intellect, by clarifying your thought, by making you available information around 360 degrees, by drawing the by bringing out the presuppositions and drawing the implications of every concept, every doctrine, so that you are able to take your own decision, as Arjuna does in the Mahabharata war, as depicted in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, that little means a clear-minded person, open-minded person, amenable to change. The hard-headed persons who are dogma-laden, the mind which is full of dogmas, that cannot change. Therefore, we say that a fool is better than a dogmatic pandit. The dogmatic pandit in whom there are set ideas it is very difficult to set them aside. But a fool who does not know would, by course of training, be able to catch the new ideas. So Arjuna is an open-minded person. He has certain queries in his mind. He has his dilemmas, which he puts forward before Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna is an enlightened person. He clarifies the concepts, analyzes the presuppositions of Arjuna's views, and works out the implications. And then says, Jatha ichhosi tatha kuru. As you wish, so you do. Arjuna's reply there is that all my moha, all my illusions are now over. He was under illusion, and the illusion is now over. Karishe bachanam tava. I will do as you say. Sri Krishna did not order him to fight. As you say means, as you say, I will take my own decision. I am now clear about what to do, what not to do. I will take my decision what to do. That is it. So, applied research means here if we do applied research, we have to do research in applied philosophy. Applied philosophy areas are which ones? Business, then medical ethics. Medical ethics, what we do? Euthanasia is one topic. Then cloning is another topic. Then doctor-patient relationship is another topic. Then duties of the paramedical staff, another topic. Then if we come to the medicine side, the ethics of medicine manufacturing and marketing, that may also consist advertising. That is also a viable topic for research. Then in business, whether it is a profit mongering area or it is a service area. Business, commonly known as it is a profit making organization. People do business in order to do profit. But no, in the Indian tradition, in Mitra Labha, it has been discussed that it is a seva, it is a service to the society. He is allowed to impose some profit, but not profit to the tune of extorting the people, putting them to difficulty, extracting money unnecessarily. So you must have seen who have used computers and such electronic gadgets. The MRP would be written if say it is 5,000, then you will be charged only 4,000, 1,000 off at once. So how much does the seller benefit? How much does the distributor benefit? How much does the manufacturer benefit? So I sometimes think that 10 times the product cost is written as MRP. Is this a business, ethical business? So all these things could be topics of research, and that too applied research under applied ethics. Then media ethics is another area. Does the media broadcast news or views? They say that we inform you and you decide. But that does not happen. Instead of so many news which we are interested in knowing, they bombard on us views of their own. So how far this is how far this is not can be the topic of research. So here we distinguish two types of research. One is pure research and the other one is applied research. Pure research in philosophy would be like this concept of substance, concept of Brahma, concept of Maya, concept of the world, concept of man. These are areas of pure research. Then there is a distinction between primary research and secondary research. Primary research involves the collection of data that does not already exist. This can be through records, questionnaires, physical examinations. That is done if in philosophy, if you are doing on some type of research which involves field study. Suppose we are doing research on the philosophical viewpoints of the Bonda tribe. In order to bring out what are their philosophical views, we have to watch from the close quarters the lifestyle of Banda people. We have to stay with them. We have to interview them. We have to watch them over seasons. How do they cultivate fields? How do they live? How do they rear children, etc., etc.? All these things are to be done. But this is not a scientific study. This is also part of philosophical study. But sciences will collect materials and put on generalization on that. But we will have materials collected from that particular area, but we will not generalize. We will not put up empirical generalizations. We will try to find out the concepts involved in their thinking and then weave the concepts to find out. Weave means buniva, যেমন বুনিয়া কথা বলছি, WEAV, weave the concepts to bring out a systematic thinking about the world and about the place of the Bonda tribe in that world. So this can be done from examining the records. Records means the novels or stories the people have written about the Bonda tribe. We have to go through that. We have to live with the Bonda tribe. We have to interrogate them and find out the concepts which constitute their perspective about the world they live in. So this is primary research, and secondary research involves the summary, collation, and synthesis of existing research rather than primary research. So our research activity involves these two parts, primary part and the secondary part. In the secondary part, we just have the summary, collation means interrelation of the data and synthesizing them to bring out a conclusion. Acha. Then Varsha has joined. I have not seen Varsha, Sangita, Pragya Paramita, Anita. So many today. Then Amyakanto came yesterday. Are you all following the lessons? Huh? Pragya Paramita? Pragya Paramita is from UPSC. What is that? Pragya Paramita? Hello?
Hello.
UPSC লেখা আছে, what is that? Pragya Paramita, you have an icon on which the Ashok pillar is there and UPSC is there. What is that?
Sir.
Ashok pillar is there and UPSC is there. What is that
Yes, sir.
icon? How strange. Achha. Let me now come to the methodology of research in philosophy. Achha. In older English, the term research was equivalent to re-hyphenated search. That is what we have been telling all the time, searching again. But in current usage, the prefix re is obscured or pronounced lightly so that the word carries a different meaning. Research. Different meaning means it is intense investigation. It is searching again according to the previous meaning, and it is intense investigation according to the current meaning of the term research. This difference is like the difference in meaning that results from the variant stress on a re between the nouns recession, or between the verbs recover and recover. The Oxford English Dictionary, Universal Dictionary, defines research as, I quote, the act of searching closely or carefully for or after a specified thing or person. The act of searching closely or carefully for or after a specified thing. For a specified thing or person means coming to be. After means it has already gone. It becomes a historical study. The Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary of Current English gives the following definition. Quote, investigation undertaken in order to discover new facts, get additional information, etc. The noun may also be used as a countable, that is, with an article to denote a particular case of research, as in a researches into modern values. Thus, it is the manner of searching rather than the repetition of an earlier search that characterizes research. It is a more penetrating search than the one we ordinarily undertake in any field to gain general acquaintance with it. It is critical, marked by a questioning attitude, so as to unravel hidden truths which are ordinarily missed or glossed over in a general study of a subject. In philosophy, it is always important to ask a pertinent question, and a pertinent question in a very clear manner. It is said that a clear question is half the answer. If the question is clear, then half of the thing is done. So if the question is unclear, then a good answer would not be forthcoming. Thus, and I told you yesterday that philosophy puts up big questions. Such questions as are not asked by sciences and all other modes of thinking. Rather, these answers to these big questions constitute the very foundation of those other modes of thinking. Thus, it is a manner of searching rather than the repetition of an earlier search that characterizes research. It is a more penetrating search than the one we ordinarily undertake in any field to gain general acquaintance with it. It is critical, marked by questioning attitude, so as to unravel hidden truths which are ordinarily missed or glossed over in a general study of the subject. Such an intensive investigation assumes that one already knows in a general way about the field under investigation. So one must be, I told you that it must be focused, the purpose must be clear. So the intensive investigation assumes that one already knows in a general way about the field under investigation, is doing research in order to know it in a detailed way. But in a general way, he already knows it. And that is search, that pertains to the part of search and doing research to focus a floodlight, so to say, on that area to know things in a greater way and in a better way. There can be no question of a deeper look into something with which one is totally unfamiliar. Therefore, I said that if there is no search, there cannot be any research. A knowledge of the basic elements of a field is a necessary preliminary to closer scrutiny. The requirement of intensity in research leads us to another implication. What is that? The area of research has a necessity to be limited. Sometimes we say empiricism, a survey. If somebody does it like this, it becomes a very pervasive field. Empiricism means it covers a very vast area. In modern philosophy, it covers three philosophers, at least Locke, Berkeley, and Hume. So, if you try to write a research paper on empiricism or rationalism, try to do that, then you will not get much credit, because you will not be doing justice to either of the philosophers, neither to Locke, nor to Berkeley, or to Hume. So you have to delimit your area of research so that you will be able to score some point. The area of research will thus necessarily be narrower than the broad field in which the investigator is expected to have basic knowledge. When one submits a research proposal, one specifies the narrow area and the broad area both. Suppose I am doing research on Hume's theory of causality. So I will say there that the broad area of my research is British empiricism. So if I do a successful research on Hume's theory of causality, then I will be given to the credit that he is an expert in British epistemology. So that is the broad field of research in which I concentrate on Hume's theory of causality. If the investigator is obliged to run his mind over a wide area, his statement would naturally be diffused and in no way different from his preliminary knowledge of it. So he will not improve his own knowledge about the area. He had known certain things generally, and by making his area of research broad, he would not be able to add many new things to the knowledge which is already with him. The area of research will thus necessarily be narrower than the broad field in which the investigator is expected to have basic knowledge. It will belong to that field and will have to be carefully chosen. So, what we said is this: we may define research in this way. It is a critical investigation into a chosen area within a familiar field for the purpose of furthering the knowledge about that area. You may note this line down. Research is a critical investigation into a chosen area within a familiar field for the purpose of furthering the knowledge about that area. The furthering of knowledge or contribution to knowledge may be either by discovering new truths or by revising and correcting existing knowledge of truths, as I said. Now, the methodology of research. Just a minute. Methodology, we may distinguish between two aspects of research. What is the distinction about? We distinguish between its content and its method. The content is what you intend to present to the learned audience. You are addressing the learned audience or the fellow philosophers or the peers about what you are saying. So the content is what you intend to present to your learned audience. It is the substance of a research work, its subject matter. The method is how you set about dealing with the subject. The manner or form of your work. Between these two, content and method, the content is a primary or intrinsic importance in the sense that this is your contribution to knowledge. The importance of the method is secondary or instrumental. One is the way, the other is the destination. The method is good not in itself, but to the extent that it subserves the interests of the content. Any method cannot be arbitrarily imposed on the content. The method must take after and suit the nature of the content. It must be adequate to the content. So you must be clear about that. Any method cannot be applied to any content. Even when you speak in broad terms, we find that the method that is followed in one discipline cannot apply to another discipline. The method of physical science like chemistry, such as experiment in a laboratory, cannot be adopted for a social science like economics, which has to depend on the observation of a large number and variety of facts or statistics. In a subject like philosophy, where you deal with the fundamental problems which occupy a very abstract level of inquiry, the method has necessarily to rely on a type of reflection which is far removed from laboratory work and field work. There might be field work in the minimum, as I said, if we are doing on Bonda tribes or tribal philosophy. Tribal philosophy is also included in our syllabus, IGNOU syllabus. But if you are doing research on that, you may have to do some field work, but that would be minimal. And we would not have any laboratory work. We have only thought is our own laboratory. We do thought experiments. We do not do physical experiments. We do thought experiments. If we think of divisions within a branch of knowledge, there again methods vary. A special feature of classical Indian philosophy, which distinguishes it from modern Western philosophy, is that it relies on scriptural texts as sources of knowledge. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, these are the sources of our knowledge. Without going into the merits of the case, we might note that this class of philosophy calls for exegetical interpretation and cannot depend entirely on logical analysis or speculation as in the other case. I told you that when we try to apply the analytical method, we have illumination, fresh illumination on areas which have been outdated or which have been less attended to, but we must be very cautious in doing that. If we apply the analytical techniques to the concepts and problems of Indian philosophy, then we must be very wary, cautious, because otherwise we will miss the very import of the concepts and the problems. Brahma, the concept of Brahma. If we just try to analyze the concept of Brahma in the light of Western philosophical method of analysis, conceptual analysis, we may just miss what is the import of that concept, and what impact, what moral impact it casts on the total civilization and culture. That might be lost. A researcher who is not cautious might say that all the statements about Brahman, all the statements about Maya are nonsensical because they do not have meaning when we apply the different criterion of meaningfulness. So, in this aspect, we must be very cautious to apply a method to a particular area of research. As it is said now, while doing research in Indian philosophy, in any of the problems of any of the schools, we must be cautious to apply the testimonial method, verbal testimony, as it is said, the authority of the scriptures we have to stick to. If we think of divisions within the branch of knowledge, there again methods vary. Without going into the merits of the case, we might note that this class of philosophy calls for exegetical interpretation. The same variation in methods applies to specific topics discussed by research investigators. Thus, the criterion for excellence of a method is its adequacy to meet the demands of the content. To the extent it is adequate, the method enhances the value of the research work. And to the extent it is not, it can detract from that value. For this reason, a research worker has to pay attention not only to what he deals with, but also to how he deals with it. Hence, the study of research method as such becomes necessary for a research scholar. There is a distinction between method and methodology. What is methodology? The term methodology means the systematic study of method or the science of method or the theory of method. That is methodology. The methodology of research is the special study of the methods adopted in research. It may be possible to identify certain features which are common in the methods adopted in various fields and areas, while they maintain their distinctive characteristics in these different fields and areas. And the purpose of a research methodology is to identify the general and constant features of research method on the one hand and the particular and varying features of it on the other. The basis of this inquiry consists in the concrete cases of research already done. Such an investigation will enable us to know the strengths and weaknesses, the successes and failures exhibited in the implementation of methods by research workers. The importance of methodology, which in essence is profiting by the experiences of previous researchers, is that it helps to avoid the wastage involved in the trial and error procedure. Methodology of research is a growing science, taking in every helpful method newly discovered. So this saves us time and saves us labor. The study of methodology saves us time and saves us labor insofar as we do not tread the same path which the previous researchers have trodden. We trade on new grounds. Then whatever the finished product of research, this is called by various names such as thesis, dissertation, research report, special study, or monograph. The output is a thesis or a dissertation or a research report or a special study or a monograph. In IGNOU, I think what you have to write is a dissertation consisting of 30-40 pages you have to submit. These names, however, are not sure indications of the length of the products. In any case, these are much longer than a research paper. A research paper consists of 10 pages or 15 pages, 5,000 words or 7,500 words, like that. Research paper. But dissertation, thesis are not confined to this amount. A research paper that we write and submit to seminars or for publication, that varies from 10 to 15 pages. And there are scholars who write more than that also for publication, but it is less than 50 pages. For our convenience, we may classify the research products other than a research paper into two types. The longer one, say about 250 pages, may be called thesis. Always a thesis doesn't consist of 250 pages. Sometimes it is more than that. Sometimes it is less than that also. Even I know that thesis which have been accepted for the degree of our PhD are less than 100 pages. So if it is substantial, the number of pages does not matter so much. But it must be, if not hefty, it not be confined to only 5 to 10 pages. It must have a substantial volume. Because what you are giving are so many informations, their interpretations, your conclusion. So unless these things are there adequately, that would not count as a thesis or an original research work for publication or for submission of for any examination. The longer one, say about 250 pages, may be called a thesis, and the shorter one, say about 100 pages, may be called a dissertation. Achha. The term thesis applies to the theme as well as to the work which critically treats of it. What is your thesis? Means what is your argument? What is your contention? In what is the argument of your thesis? The term thesis refers to the work. What is your thesis? This means that what is the contention or what is the argument of your thesis, in your thesis. But if the question is, what is the argument of your thesis? Here thesis refers to the entire work, to entire volume. By a monograph, class notes. By a monograph is meant a treatise on a single theme. Though this term is conventionally applied to the shorter research product of about 100 pages, in a sense, every research product is a monograph. The critical nature of a research work requires that it be confined to a single theme. Suppose like this, Niskama Karma in the Bhagavad Gita, Raja Dharma in the Mahabharata, mind-body relation in Descartes, concept of probability in Hume, like this. Profit mongering in business, like this, on a single theme. Research report and special study may represent a product occupying the size of what we have described as a thesis or of the one which we have described as a dissertation. All these products are characterized by critical investigation. I am telling you again and again, the investigation must be critical and analytical. ଯେମିତି କହନ୍ତି ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ ହିନ୍ଦୀର ଅନୁକରଣରେ ଛାନଭିନ କରିବା. So putting them into tidbits for better analysis and better clarification. Choosing a topic for research in philosophy. How do we choose a topic? What is the guiding principle of choosing a topic? A random and haphazard decision on a topic may lead to unforeseen difficulties. Careful and systematic selection of a topic will contribute to success. Understand? Random and haphazard decision in topic selection may lead us to difficulties. We will not get material, we will not be able to connect them. You will be running to the supervisor or guide for suggestion. ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତ thesis ହେଉଛି ଯେଉଁମାନେ ସବୁ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, guide ହେଉଛି ସର୍ବେସର୍ବା. They will come to the guide, come to a professor to make him the guide, then say, sir, what is the topic on which I will do research? This is a very vexing question. Because if you have done search, if you are interested in a particular area, if a particular problem has caught you, if you have been worried over a particular question for its solution, then only you will come for research and ask your guide that this is your trouble, this is your problem, and you will ask for some help in getting over the problem. So guide will show you the path. Guide will be the facilitator. Guide would not be a writer of your thesis. Guide would not be a dictator dictating the title of your thesis and dictate the chapters to which it will be divided and then written. So it is not like that. If you are really interested in doing some contribution to philosophy which you like, then you must take up a topic which has tormented your mind off and on. So careful and systematic selection of a topic will contribute to success. The time spent on choosing a topic should not be regarded as a wasted time. Research is exacting work. Delays and temporary disappointments in arriving at results are quite probable in any topic. The researcher is really interested in the topic. His interest will sustain him, hold him fast in his efforts, and enable him to withstand and overcome difficulties. Interest does vary, and it is worth spending some time in self-analysis to locate the area and problem of one's own maximum interest. I am telling you all this because you will not only be enlightened as to how to choose a topic for your dissertation, also you will get enlightened how, if at all you desire to write a thesis after you complete your PG course. And it is worth spending some time in self-analysis to locate the area and problem of one's own maximum interest. As one of our professors were telling, also off and on, research is research. Whether it is a dissertation or a thesis doesn't matter. The same type of mindset, the same type of activity will be there in both. As the same type of caring, the same type of trouble would be there if the mother gives birth to a son or a daughter, a male child or a female child. The pain is the same, the caring is the same, the setting is all the same. So whether it's a dissertation or a thesis doesn't matter. The interest, the sustained interest, and the activities would be the same in both the cases, equally. And it is worth spending some time in self-analysis to locate the area and problem of one's own maximum interest. The prospective research worker may not be able to formulate his topic in precise academic terms. In this, he will, in most cases, require the help of a guide. But he must at least be able to identify and express the area and problem in which he is most interested. The guide will not do this thing for the researcher. The guide will just articulate the topic or suggest that this is all right, or suggest that this is not all right, find out a different area, because in this area you are not very much able to proceed. Find another area in which you can find it easy to prosecute your studies. Then the aim of research is to contribute to knowledge. A restatement of existing knowledge for the understanding of beginners does not amount to research. In today's world, research has become very easy. Copy and paste, consulting websites, going to YouTube University or to Google University, finding some information there, bringing that, pasting that, theses are produced. And that has become easier with AI's, artificial intelligence's occurrence. There is some website one suggested to me. If you go there, then they will prepare the PPTs for you, PowerPoint presentations. They will prepare PPTs for you. You need not labor. So that is all right. AI is there and different websites are there to feed you with information. But which information is relevant, which would be necessary for your topic, you have to decide very assiduously. There are different encyclopedias available in the website. I must make it very clear that all the encyclopedias that are there are not authentic. They are not written by very qualified persons. Wikipedia, for example, contains many errors. Wikipedia material needs a revision, and they themselves invite the readers to revise them if they know it in a better way. So if you consult encyclopedias over the web, then consult the authentic ones, like Encyclopedia Britannica, it is authentic. Then Internet Encyclopedia Philosophy, that is to a great extent authentic. Then there is Encyclopedia Philosophy, that is authentic. Then Routledge Encyclopedia, that is also authentic. But Wikipedia and some blogs, they provide you some information which might be wrong and which might be misleading in the long run. So please do not go for those things. Consult a person who knows about those things before you use that material for writing a thesis paper or dissertation or a research report. Therefore, the topic chosen must not only be one which interests the candidate, but one which will yield new information, either by addition or by revision of old knowledge. To make sure that the topic possesses novelty, the candidate has to check the topic up for two features. The topic must call for discussion by presenting unresolved difficulties. It must present problems of what, how, or why, and demand discussion. A frequent sign of discussability is objection, either actual or possible, either from another person or from oneself. An objection calls for answer. The objection might have been raised by a different researcher, another researcher, or it might be discovered by you. The question is not asked previously, but the question enters into your mind. You hit upon that particular question. So you ask that question, which is not asked previously, and then try to meet there. So philosophical teaching, I said somewhere, that is best done in dialogues. Philosophical dialogues, Plato's works are all dialogues. Similarly, Berkeley has dialogue, 3 dialogues between Hylas and Philonos. So dialogical way of doing things is better. Therefore, while writing a thesis or a dissertation, you have a dialogue with yourself. You have a dialogue with yourself. You ask the question, it might be asked that such and such, so it may be answered like this. In this way, the thesis will proceed. You invent a question which is worth asking and then attempt an answer thereto. So it goes on as if two persons are in dialogue, but actually you are in dialogue with yourself. And objection calls for answer. It cannot be brushed aside by any intellectual. To meet an objection is to discuss. If the discussion is within oneself, it is reflection. Again, the topics should not have already been worked upon by any other person. And this is an ideal, but this is not followed at all. The same topic is being thrust on and on and on. Previous year, a group of students wrote on Descartes' problem of substance, mind-body relation of Spinoza, and this year also they write like that. So there is repetition and repetition. And how does a researcher know that previously these things have happened. In universities, if some work is done in one university, they notify to other universities. They used to notify that. But nowadays, there is a website in which the research things which are done are uploaded, so that others know that this is a topic of research which are already been done by such and such person in such and such way. So he or she becomes well informed about the area which is not yet attended, which is a gray area, which he or she may find useful to use and proceed. Again, the topic should not have already been worked upon by any other person, at least in the same way in which the candidate proposes to work upon it. Suppose there has been a historical study on the concept of substance. I may have the same topic, but in a different way, an analytical study of substance, I may say. So, this means that the researcher should examine, to the extent possible, previous contributions by others in the broad field to which his subject or her subject belongs, so as to minimize the chances of repetition and to feel sufficiently secure that his choice is fresh and will enable him to make original contribution to knowledge. So a word about originality in the realm of philosophy is desirable at this stage. What is original? In general, original contribution to knowledge may consist either in the discovery of a new fact or in the discovery of a new relationship between facts. This distinction, however, is only relative. Actually, facts and theories involve each other. The distinction made between the two kinds of originality is therefore only a question of prominence. In the sciences, there is scope for both these kinds of original contribution. The discovery of new species of plant or animal, that is the discovery of new fact. A new substance or a new heavenly body is a discovery of new facts. When a new fact has been discovered, the scientist is obliged also to explain its relation to already known facts. This may lead to a revision or enlargement of an existing theory of relationship, which is to that extent is the discovery of a new relationship. For example, the discovery of Neptune or Pluto, the planets. For example, when the new planet has been discovered, it may call for an adjustment in the existing astronomical theory of planetary movement or even the origin of the cosmos. In philosophy, originality is something else. How it is something else, we shall discuss tomorrow. We shall return when we return at 4 in the afternoon on Friday. So thank you very much. Thank you all those who have attended and spent the time with me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And a word to the IGNOU people over there, that a student came with one icon marked with UPSC and with Ashokan pillar. Please take that.